As Donald Trump signs yet another trade deal and reveals a Middle East peace plan amid an economic boom, it raises a key question. How can a president do so many effective things and still face a hateful opposition? If you ask people to grade his work based on their lives, they'll tell you things are great because the results are obvious. More jobs, higher wages, peace, prosperity. But if you ask them about impeachment or about the president in general, their responses will vary. So why is that? Well, maybe they know what happens if you say anything nice about Trump. Or it could also be Trump's personality. If he rubbed you the wrong way 4 years ago, maybe he still does. But also the media runs the turf where facts and opinions can be molded into any narrative they desire. We know the golden oldies. Trump's unstable. He's about to cause World War III. He's a racist. He's not responsible for this economy. All are a matter of opinion, born from emotion, disconnected from concrete results. And yet, like a T-shirt cannon, the media can shoot those messages to you at home, then call it an honest day's work. It's safe to say much of the disconnect between Trump's results and the polls are largely media-driven. The media is like the bitter ex-spouse whispering bad things to the kids about the other parent. And impeachment is their way to really tar the guy. And they aren't even hiding it. The upside to all this, it seems impeachment really revs up an already competitive president. You try to bring him down and he just does more. If you keep at this, he'll probably cure the coronavirus and make China pay for it. I hope so. Juan, that monologue was dedicated to you. It was like dedicating a song. I think you would agree, Juan, that with the trade deals, the peace plans, the dead terrorists, impeachment has made Trump the most effective president in our lifetimes.
Really? Well, first, on the coronavirus, I have had the sniffles lately.
Yes.
It's been a great concern to Dana because I've been sitting. I know. So I was thinking, if he can really solve the coronavirus, Greg may have me.
Now, maybe I don't want him to.
That's right. You send me to
I put eye drops in your coffee.
Oh, don't do it. Don't do it. Anyway, in response, I would say this. You could say that, yep, I think the USMCA is a good thing, right? I think especially for our farmers, our trade deals, that's good stuff. I would say if he really had a Mideast peace plan, I would say marvelous. Boy, that would solve so many problems. But that doesn't negate that what he did with President Zelensky and the Ukraine is bad. I mean, it's like saying, yeah, I'm a good person, but I robbed somebody. That doesn't work. You can't say to the judge, oh, Katie's a wonderful partner, but, you know, she just beat someone in the head and therefore forget about it.
That's also a crime, Juan.
Yeah, well, that's right. That's right.
Your analogies need to fit.
Well, no, because what we heard today, in fact, was this argument about abuse of power. And you heard it quite. Now, the most amazing part of today, by the way, Alan Dershowitz saying, oh, you know what? It doesn't. If the president believes that his reelection is in the national interest, then it doesn't matter. You can't impeach him on it.
I think
so he's a king. Anything.
No, that's actually true. If you believe you're an effective president, but the other thing too, abuse of power is not criteria because it's vague, Dana. It's vague. You can say that about any policy you don't like.
Yes. Absolutely. And for any time, remember when President Obama said, I don't need you, Congress, I've got a pen and a phone? Yeah. And everyone was like, you can't do that. You have to go through the democratic process. But nobody impeached him over it. No, I'm not.
We tried.
I'm not making direct analogies to compare. But I think that Patrick Philbin, the lawyer for the president's team, he's really effective, I think, as just explaining things to people. And when he emphasized, you have not proven these things beyond a reasonable doubt. And so anybody who's served on a jury or watched one on TV, that is the standard, beyond a reasonable doubt, and they haven't done that. And I also think that with the news today that Cory Gardner of Colorado, the senator there, has said he is a no on witnesses. I think it's safe to say that by Friday, Mitch McConnell will have the votes. There will be no witnesses. The president will be acquitted.
You know, I consider myself a legal expert from my years of watching Law and Order. So I have to back you up on this. Jesse, you know, we're all going to the Super Bowl. So I thought I would go with a Super Bowl analogy or a football analogy. Okay. You know, with this new trade deal and the peace deal, isn't Donald Trump like Earl Campbell? You know, he can cross the goal line carrying people in. Remember Earl Campbell?
Yeah.
He used to he was a big back and he'd run. And it was like when people would jump on him, he would just move forward and score. Doesn't Trump more effective when he has such resistance?
That's right. And we're the offensive linemen. Okay? Helping them plow the field, right, Juan? Just kidding. Fair and balanced. Now, here's the thing about this analogy.
Did you just say that, in other words...
Oh, that was a joke. Stop,
oh, okay. All right.
The defense is like the entire media, okay? Relax. We're just telling the truth over here.
All right.
Here's what I see what's going on right now, the hatred, all right? Trump is beating the Democrats at their own game. Usually you can tell a Republican and say, you know, you're only good for Wall Street and you're not good for Main Street. But for the first time in a long time, this president has been good for both. And this has been a bottom-up recovery. And not only that, for the working men and women, wages are up, but also for blacks and Hispanics. So that makes the Democrats furious that he's doing what they've been promising to do for 3 decades and haven't been able to do, and a businessman comes in and does it in 3 years. So there's an all-out assault on him. The second thing is, he goes on offense constantly. Either it's on Twitter, if it's on the press conferences. We're not used to having a president just bludgeon the opposition so forcefully and so aggressively on all spectrums 24 hours a day. It's unsettling to a lot of people, and people just aren't used to it. And then third, I just think the speaking style is jarring for a lot of people. He's from Queens. He's brash, he's blunt, he gets right to the point, and is very politically incorrect. So it's unnerving to hear the President of the United States go directly at people like that and just shake things down to the core. So at the end of the day, you've made this analogy, and I'll double down on it, although it's not an Earl Campbell analogy. If you have a platoon leader, you don't like him, but you respect him, and he keeps killing the enemy. Or you have a CEO who's driving you crazy, keeps you at work till 9 p.m., but the earnings are fantastic and you got a great bonus. Or what about a football coach? He's yelling at you all the time. He's making you run wind sprints, but you just won the Super Bowl. You don't have to love the guy to respect him, because winning is most important.
You know, Katie, you usually get your facts straight.
Yep. Especially this week.
Yes. Dana brought up the fact that it's probably won't be any witnesses. Is that a good thing?
Well, I think it depends. I mean, you can be open to new witnesses who were not part of the House process, but the problem is that the House is sending over a case that doesn't have everything done. So the Senate, the question is, if you're a senator, how could you vote against witnesses at this point, knowing what you know about John Bolton in the book? And the answer is because the Senate doesn't want to have a precedent set where the House can just send over any kind of impeachment process without doing all of the work. And as the attorney argued today for the White House, that would enable the Senate to become an investigatory body. It would then force them to be in impeachment forever as the House sends over partisan impeachment. And it's important to point out that there are 2 sets of witnesses here. The House interviewed 17 people. Those people's testimony has been used in the Senate trial on both sides to prove a point. There is nobody in the Clinton trial who testified in the House and then testified in the Senate who wasn't interviewed before the articles of impeachment and the entire House case was sent to the Senate. And so that's, I think, senators looking at it and saying, we're not the House, and you need to do your job.
And you know, the rebuttal came from the Democrats who said there have been 15 impeachments and witnesses in all of them, including in one case, I think this was the Johnson case, like 37 of the 40 had not testified in the House, but testified in the Senate. So it's not like this is unprecedented.
It is unprecedented.
Okay. All right.